and welcome to Goths Do a Podcast, the Halloween special. Our Goths for today are Bella, Louise, Nikki, Cat, and myself, Crystal. Today, we're talking about Witchy 101. We're going to talk about a brief history of witchcraft in the UK, being a witch in the 21st century, and what being a witch means to us and how it has helped us. We hope you enjoy.
So, talking about witchcraft this week. So, just to put it in a bit of context, the church obviously was incredibly powerful in the UK and also everywhere in the 14, 15, 1600s. So it was always kind of against the church to dabble in witchcraft. But, and kind of that was used to blame kind of ill fortune. If your child died, it's probably witches. If the crops failed, it's witches. Something bad happened to you. If you tripped up, if you dropped your purse and lost all your money, that's witchcraft. It was kind of a catch-all to kind of. It was kind of. I guess it's similar to superstition. You just blame it on something else. But yeah, so the Witchcraft Act in 1542. Parliament passed what was called the Witchcraft Act, and that was the point where witchcraft became a crime that was punishable by death. That actually initially only actually lasted for 5 years.
So is that when they did all the witch trial stuff when they put all these laws in place?
Yeah. So they restored it in 1562. The Witchcraft Act came back in. It wasn't the same law, but they brought in a new one. I'm not entirely sure what the differences were, but it was still crime punishable by death. And then a key date, key year was 1604. So in 1604, King James I, who was he was all about witchcraft, he was all about demonology, he published a book called Demonology, and he just kind of declared himself the expert on all things occult. And yeah, so from that point on, witchcraft as a crime wasn't tried by the church anymore. It was something that was actually the king was particularly interested in. So the normal courts, I say normal courts, but the legal courts, the ones not affiliated with the church or whatever, they were the ones trying people for witchcraft. So that's when you get the big boy witch trials of the UK, because they were able to do it on a much bigger level.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's a bit of context for you.
Well, I did some research because we knew we were doing some research 101 into Wiccan, because I know everybody probably knows the sentence, every Wiccan is a witch, but not every witch is a Wiccan, because technically Wicca and Wiccan is a religion. And apparently it didn't actually come into existence until 1950 in the UK, and it's British Wicca. Apparently we are just witches in this country. And it wasn't actually the guy that actually brought it out as a religion never actually used that word. He called it the craft of the wise, witchcraft, the witch cult. It wasn't actually used the Wicca or Wiccan until 1958, and it was by his disciples basically that had decided that was the term they were going to use, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, that's really fascinating.
So, since this is going to go up around Halloween, it's our Halloween special, some background on Halloween as it pertains to Wicca. We call it Samhain, and it is the last of the harvest festivals in our Wheel of the Year. And what we do is we say goodbye to the god for its passing, because the god is the sun. And so we're saying goodbye to him as we're getting into the darker months. It's when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, so our rituals will usually include bringing people that have died into our rituals, saying giving thanks to them as well, also giving thanks to both the god and the goddess for the harvest, and it's technically the new year for witches.
I always like the fact that it's the thinnest part of where the veil's the thinnest between the living and the dead, because there's that thing where if you can talk to those that you love that have passed.
So what's interesting about that, so if you that is a really interesting fact, and actually not a lot of some of that I actually really didn't know. Thank you. I think it's interesting if you tie it to kind of how we practice Christianity in the UK, especially the Catholic Church. I think it just kind of reinforces that the Catholic, the Church as it is now, has nothing to do with what was Christianity, and it's just kind of poached these key dates and ideas from the religions that were there before them.
Well, yeah, because everyone else was doing, everyone else was already celebrating these things. They already had these celebrations and these festivals, and they're like, well, the easiest way to turn everyone over to this other religion is if we go, you have the exact same festival, but instead of calling it this, you call it that. And that's pretty much where a lot of them seem to have come from.
Yeah, you can especially see it with like Christmas and Easter.
Well, it's like with the Christmas tree, it was originally pagans would bring evergreen boughs into their house to celebrate the end of the year, the shortest day of the year, all of their kind of festivals. And because I think there's like 3 days in it, Christianity went, we'll bring evergreen boughs in as a Christmas tree to celebrate Christ.
So basically everyone's pagan.
The Germans that started doing it.
Yeah, the Germans brought it to the UK first, the actual Christmas tree, I think.
Yes, sorry, that's what I meant. Obviously, I wasn't saying that the Germans started Wicca. That was a bit of a misleading sentence there.
Yeah, I don't actually know what it is in our German heritage. I would leave that up to Louise.
Tannenbaum.
Yeah. What I was going to say that I find quite interesting, though, sort of from like a mental health perspective, is the idea that obviously we get past the shortest day of the year and we say goodbye to the sun. And like for me, with like seasonal affective disorder, that is when it hits the hardest, is the start of November. It really does feel like that immediate. Kind of an interesting thought that it's like, oh, see you in a bit.
Yeah,
Bye.
see, because I also get the good old SADs, and I find that they don't actually kick in until after Christmas. Yeah, so the SADs don't really kick in until after Christmas, and I find that's actually more because with Halloween and with Christmas and even to a point New Year's, I've got a lot of things to look forward to. There's you're concentrating on, oh, what am I going to do for Halloween? What's Halloween's done? Oh, what am I going to do for Christmas? You're talking about and thinking about the festivals that are coming. You're putting yourself into the sort of preparation mindset, because you're kind of distracted by something. I mean, yeah, I've got work and real life and all that sort of stuff, but there's this big event, and it's especially when it's a big social or family event to look forward to as well. And then once all that's done and we're in about sort of January time and the days are still pretty short and the weather's still really shite, there's kind of like nothing really to look forward to until like April time for Easter, or my birthday, May, the most important month in the year.
What about some of our other people's birthday in this group that are misses?
Oh yeah, there's other people there too, I guess. But no, it's not it's not a big sort of massive celebration that you can, as I say, Halloween and Christmas is my favourite time of year. I absolutely love it. The summertime queen loves Halloween and Christmas. And yeah, no, it's just because, you've really got this thing to look forward to, and it really does help me get through the winter and the darkest days of the year. And it's not until actually the festivals are all done and there's what I've got to look forward to is actually quite far away. I'm like, oh, okay, I've actually registered. I've got the SADs now, and I'm pretty sad about it.
Cool about that. If you think of like your oldest witches as maybe wise women that are men that were bringing, these groups of people through the harsh winters, pointing out that there was still stuff to look forward to, and there was still brightness and there was still warmth, even in the coldest, darkest seasons. It kind of puts like a really nice warm spin on witchcraft, I think. Like, they were just sort of guiding us through.
Yeah, because like after Halloween, we've got this shortest day of the year that brings all new beginnings and all new kind of hope and protection and all of that kind of stuff. And that's why we bring evergreen boughs in, because it shows rebirth and all of this kind of stuff, which gives you something to look forward to and guides you through to the next bit, which I think is quite nice.
And also the harvest aspect, because obviously right now harvest is every day with Tesco, but back then, like, the harvest seasons were it, like, it's genuinely exciting time because we have different types of food and food in general.
Because you're right, that would have been the only time of the year that your food would be fresh, or the grown produce.
We'd have pumpkins.
We would indeed. So many root vegetables.
God, I love a good root vegetable.
I've just remembered a really dark story that I kind of read in primary school, because what the hell were they letting me read in primary school? Did anyone read Bishop Hatto?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, so basically this bishop, he, like, the harvest failed one year, and all the poor people, like, came and was like, help us, like, we've got no food, and you have lots of food, and say, oh yeah, I got loads of food, and he murdered them all. He got all the poor people into his barn. He's like, yeah, there's loads of food in there, and he killed everybody.
Huh.
And it was such a
What
good
were you
poem
reading in primary school?
because
It
I
gives
think,
them a swift end rather than suffering through a long
and
and
he
painful death.
no, but he brought a curse onto himself, and somebody cursed him, and so he got chased. Like he had to kind of leave the island and go live in like a tower upset up, like off in the sea somewhere because all the rats kept chasing him, and then all the rats came out and like ate him. And it just made me think of that because it was like, sorry, you were just talking about like the harvest, and I was like, oh, I know a story about the harvest where somebody cursed the bishop, and there's some tie in there. We're talking about the church taking over pagan festivals and doing bad things on harvest.
Yeah,
Did you say primary school?
Well, I didn't actually. It wasn't supposed to read it. I don't think it was supposed to read
Oh.
it. It was just in my
that's really
anthology.
dark. But there is a story about a guy that sells the last cow that his family were going to use for money for beans, and then nearly gets eaten alive by a giant. That's pretty dark. He even yells,
That's
"If
really
I
dark,
go
man.
from, I smell the blood of an English man."
Real talk. You read those like the original fairy tales. They're terrifying. They're absolutely terrifying.
Terry, I've got like the whole compilation, and I think I've only read like 6 of them because they are actually terrifying, like what they were actually meant to be.
I fear that we ventured off topic.
We do this. What happens when you get a bunch of neurodiverse people in a room?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. One of the next questions was, what do you think witchcraft is in the 21st century? What is it in the 21st century to us, I guess?
I would say there's more solitary practitioners as opposed to organized covens. I think that's the biggest kind of what the difference is. There was usually, because obviously there was such a stigma, it was always practiced within groups quite covertly, and it was nearer to organized religion actually, where there were certain rules. You'd kind of read from the leader of the coven's Book of Shadows, their grimoire, and that's what you would base your Book of Shadows off of. But now it's more you do your own research. Like witchcraft in a sense has become very much to do with knowledge and very much to do with the acquisition of your own path. So for example, I'm very kind of drawn to crystals, so that's a big part of my craft. Other people, I have friends that are very into herbalism, so that's the basis of their craft. So it's more individual, and I think it's a reflection of the secular kind of individual world we live in, really, because people enjoy spiritual shopping and picking and choosing bits of faiths and bits of traditions that really align with them. So I think that is actually reflected in Wicca as well.
That's quite interesting. Some of the reading I did around paganism and Wicca and stuff, it was all like, even though it's kind of still religion, it's more about the traditions within it, and you can do your own thing around that practice. So there's like certain traditions within the actual like religion that people still practice, but then the rest of it's individualized, which I quite like, and it lets you be spiritual in your own way.
I think that's what really drew me to sort of witchcraft and yeah, all that sort of stuff is I could do what I wanted to. So obviously my whole thing's the moon. It's a full moon tonight, by the way. And
Good night for recording it on.
Yeah.
Moon in Pisces.
I was able to find information that really resonated with me, which might not necessarily resonate with other people. And I do quite a lot of tarot as well. I really love doing the tarot cards, and I don't think I know a single person who does tarot the same way. Like everyone has their own way of reading the cards. Everyone has their own way of pulling a deck, and their own way of also kind of pulling the information from those cards as well. And as someone who doesn't do very well at being told what to do, for me it's great because I can go to Waterstones and I can pick up all my books. Pretty much every book in front of me right now I've brought from Waterstones, and I can just find the books that resonate with me, that work for me, and I'm not sat there going feeling like I'm being told, oh, you should be doing it like this actually, or you can't do that, you have to do it like this. it doesn't count as a ritual unless you do this sort of thing. Which, because I've tried following to the letter some like spell work and ritual work, and it just doesn't work for me. I don't feel the energy. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's one of the things that really actually drew me to this.
Yeah, I feel like when you get started, especially first, and what I did anyway, because I started getting interested in this kind of stuff when I was about, I don't know, I think I officially would have said that I was a witch probably about 14, and I thought I needed everything. I wanted every crystal ball, I wanted all the bells and whistles, every colored candle, but then as you get older and you research more, you realize it's less about the things, more about what they represent, and if you've got that within yourself, it's okay.
It's about your intentions.
I agree with that so wholeheartedly. Yeah, I just think that right now, there's a lot of commercialism sort of packaged up as spiritualism, and to be the most, I don't know, Instagram approved Wicca in the world, you need every candle, all the herbs, all the crystals. But realistically, it's so much more intrinsic. At least to me, it is.
And I think there's a little bit of, especially on the internet. Why do I say that? That's the only place I speak to people. But there is a bit of gatekeeping that's coming. People going, oh, well, you got your stuff off Etsy, or you got your stuff off this shop. Oh, you're into chaos theory. You don't know light theory or whatever. And I think to a degree, it's kind of people trying to be the most Instagram approved practitioner that they like, which that they can be. But also, there's a thing of people, they're almost trying to shield themselves from the Instagram approval crowd.
Yeah, I feel like there's two different types. There's the ones who are, want to be the pretty aesthetic kind of witch, and then there's those who say you're not allowed to use you can't buy a stick to use as a wand, even though it looks really nice. It has a nice little crystal on it. It's engraved and everything. You have to go find one in the woods, one that means one to you, sort of thing. And I mean, both are fine. Both are correct. If it resonates with you, then it works.
Yeah, I find with Wicca, there's quite a lot. Like, I found in other religions that people feel guilt when they don't follow it to the letter. Whereas I find with people who are practicing Wicca or paganism, they seem to have less guilt when they're outside of what's the rules, because the rules are so flexible, because it's more of spirituality and what resonates with you and what's good for you. Like, if you want to shout at the moon and tell them off about your friends who have COVID, go for it. If you want to light a candle and meditate, go for it. If you want to mix some herbs up and whatever, that's fine too. It gives you a lot more flexibility.
Yeah, there's some witches out there who, if they knew the horrible things I said to the moon when my friend was ill, but she got better, so clearly it worked. So
clearly, the moon is your bitch.
Really, yeah, no, exactly.
Is it not everyone else's favourite thing to do when you're having a bad night shift to go out into the garden? Look at the moon directly. Just kind of give it that look and be like, I see what you're doing. I see you.
I guess that happens more in mental health. It does occasionally happen in A&E where it's a full moon, everything's gone to shit, and you're like, it's your fucking fault. You've made them all go mad. Behave yourself.
I have specifically swapped my shifts this week, so I'm not working night shifts on the full moon. Everyone is welcome.
I would, honestly, anyone who says things, I don't believe in astrology, I don't believe in the planets, I don't believe in any of that stuff, I'm just going to cordially invite them, go and spend the night in A&E on a full moon, then come back and tell me that you don't think the planets have any effect on people.
Mm-hmm.
There is actually a thing in, I'm sure it happens in mental health as well, but in medicine where you're on one of the wards and it's just nighttime, it doesn't even have to be a full moon, and all of your dementia patients go absolutely bananas because the sun's gone down and you don't know why. You've not changed what you've done.
Sundowners.
The sun's gone down. Suddenly they're off their rocker and trying to escape. They were fine 10 minutes ago.
Yep, we get that on our ward as well. Sometimes everything's cool and then it gets, like, literally the sun will go down. 2 minutes later, pandemonium. No reason. They're just all yelling at each other. Nothing's happened.
Well, the dark is very scary.
True, but I also lay blame if anyone has said what I call the Q word. And Bella knows what I mean immediately.
I was drinking water at the time and I had to not choke as because I started laughing. Because
I don't even say the Q word outside of my life now. I just don't say it.
Oh, I do, but that means because I'm not at work, it's not my problem.
No, because I just feel like it'll follow me. So, for the listeners who obviously don't know the joke, the key word is quiet. You never say anywhere is quiet. If you are on a hospital ward and you say, boy, it sure is quiet, you will get hit, you will get drinks thrown at you, there will be a riot, everything will go wrong, and it will all be your fault because you said the key word.
I think that's true for I think that's true for a lot of places though, not just hospitals. I know if I'm on the service desk and I'm like, oh, it's a bit quiet, not had many tickets today. Guaranteed a server or at least one server will just turn itself off for no reason.
And if we don't think that that is a large part of tempting fate in the universe working in wonderful, humiliatingly funny ways.
I love the idea that the universe is just out to humiliate us all.
Yeah, I think sometimes we all get a bit too big for our britches.
It's because Crystal's yelling at the moon.
Yeah, that's what it is, actually.
Because of Crystal.
The moon, the universe is just trying to keep you on your toes so that you're always awake, ready to react.
True. I'm a better woman for it.
I'm keeping us all on. We're all ballerinas now. I've been on our toes so long. It's like, no, I can't come back down.
I feel like talking because I'm in my family. We are spiritual, but we're not like a religion. We're more agnostic. And I find talking to people that from different religions quite interesting, and I do resonate with Wicca a lot more. I just guess I've not really looked into it as much as I probably should, because especially when I've done research about runes and stuff, hence why I've got some tattooed. I've always found that they resonate with me a lot more. But it's just, I find it really interesting talking to people who actually have the knowledge and the information, because it just gives you a better understanding of what witchcraft is now compared to what you get taught at school, if you do get taught anything about it at school.
Oh god, all I learned was the bloody Salem witch trials, if that. Even then I didn't actually get most of the information. I've since researched them properly, and it was nothing like what people say happened.
I think I've got some of that information because Mum's a massive history buff. She loves all the royals. You talk to her about history, you'll be there talking to my mother for years anyway, but history, definitely you'll be there for centuries talking about it all, because she just loves all of that stuff. So we've always got history programs going on in the background when mum can find them.
Time team, mate, that's all you need. Fucking time team.
I think it's interesting that people talk about the Salem witch trials. I think that's a quintessentially British thing. Is to deflect onto the Americans and what they were doing. It's like, no, we had our own. We were doing the most. We were doing all the stuff too. But it's very typical of British.
We're here to blame the Americans, not to take fault here. Come on.
We do that with a lot of things,
British.
to be fair.
We do love to blame the Yanks, even though technically it was us.
People always do the most, though. We do the most, and then
slaves. All of America's fault.
We always start the trend.
I like the cat that pushes the coffee off the table and then stands there like I didn't do it. It's like, who did that, guys? I see you're scrambling. It wasn't me.
Absolutely.
Totally it.
The point of the Salem witch trials. Were we not just expats that happened to be living in America? We were 30 years into our holiday at that point.
True, actually. We just came, invaded, and stayed.
Everyone has still had an English accent. To be fair, I could be wrong on that. Someone feel free to check the dates on that. But I feel like we weren't in America that long before the Salem witch trials.
White people have not been in America that long, full stop.
Well, yes, very true. Very true. I believe, there are houses in my neighborhood that are older than America.
Yeah, easily. Anyway, before we start hating on Americans anymore.
I wasn't hating on them. I was literally saying it's us. We are the British people with the more problem. It's the more problem. The more problem. I have a degree in English.
The more problem is us.
I was going to say, so yeah, one of the things I found very interesting in my own sort of research of the history of witches and all that is the healing work. I've always been very interested in that sort of aspect, I guess. I believe in modern medicine. I go to the doctors when I'm forced to, and all of that. I take my paracetamol when Bella makes me. But I've always loved the idea of. It's the natural healer, and there's what you're saying about herbalism as well. It's actually partly why I got into plants. Was my first plants were all actually herbs. I find that. Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest things I take away from sort of witchcraft is that healing aspect, and it's about healing your soul sometimes. It's not just your physical ailments. You know, it's not just, you know, taking ginger when you've got a bit of a funny stomach. It's actually sort of sitting down and meditating and reflecting and, you know, figuring out what it is you want to manifest and taking time to be thankful as well.
Well, part of modern medicine has proven in research that if you are well within your mind and your soul, you are more likely to recover from physical ailments quicker, even if it is an injury, not just like a cold or something. So all of those things do kind of align together, and it's good that they encourage you to be well within your mind, your soul and your body, because then it means if you're well in your mind and soul, then you're in a better place when you do need to heal your body. And the herbalism stuff, it's like when people say, I don't like taking modern drugs because they're all synthetic. It's like paracetamol and aspirin are actually from herbs that were discovered through things like paganism and witch doctors and all of that kind of stuff. Quite a lot of them are originally from organic matter. We've just processed them and put them in a nice tablet form to make it easier for you to take.
You mentioned the majority of modern anaesthetics are still derived from the same plants. It's just you need a patent to use them.
Yeah, and also it's much easier to inject a liquid than it is to get the vegetable and stuff it in your face when I'm trying to knock you unconscious.
Yeah, it is, to be fair.
I'm sure if I rocked up to one of the anaesthetic doctors with the herbal root of ketamine or fentanyl, he'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Yes, but if you came up with some curare and explained it was a muscle relaxant to make sure that no one started twitching while they were put under, they'd be like, all right, sound.
I vote that we pay Bella to go and do that.
I also
Like, just go up to the next operation and be like, yes, here is the root. It's all natural, so it's better for you, and just watch the patient have to like eat continually to like get themselves worked out.
I second that.
You would have upset a lot of anaesthetic doctors with that for putting the breathing tubes in.
You sort of joke, but you know, there have been instances where people have managed to use techniques like hypnotism and such to basically have painless procedures but without any anesthetic. So there is a lot of it's amazing how much you know, mind over matter. You know, it's amazing how much just believing, even if it's a placebo effect, just the belief itself can actually physically change your body, or at least the way your brain interprets certain signals.
Yeah, I find that at work as well. It's like those patients that are really anxious and not good in their mind and soul, and they're hyperventilating, they're in more pain than when they're relaxed. And it's one of those things when I do say, if you take a few nice cleansing breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, this will hurt a lot less. But either way, this is happening, so you might as well try and relax as much as you can, because we are in A&E and it is shit to be here in the first place. But if you can take a few deep breaths and calm yourself down even slightly through a bit of meditation, well-being, positive manifestations of this will be okay, we'll get through this much easier and much quicker, and it will be less of a trauma for the person. But sometimes, obviously, due to the type of environment I work in, that doesn't always work. But, you know, we all do try.
Have you found, though, that people of strong faith, whether it's, you know, Wicca, Christianity, Islam, etc., when they come in, these people of strong faith, they do manage to get themselves down to that state if you explain it to them? It is something quite extraordinary about religion and faith in general, about people's ability to sit there and become mindful.
I think it allows people to become more relaxed about the situation, depending on their religion, of course, because it's like you see people that are going through really terrible times. Maybe they've had a really bad diagnosis, but then they go, don't worry, it's God's plan, or, you know, something like that. It just puts them at ease. And when they're at ease, they're probably not going to get a lot more of the stress-induced symptoms. So that can help as well. But in terms of the actual intentional healing, like you were talking about earlier, I think that everyone should try Reiki once in their life. I will stand by that. This is a hill I will die on. Reiki healing is actually insanely... It will change your life, guys. It will change your life. I'm not one to advocate for drug use. So if you're not going to ever do LSD in your life, do Reiki healing, because it will change you.
Your options are LSD or Reiki. That's it.
LSD or Reiki healing. You can pick one.
Tell me
You
about Reiki.
pick.
Tell us about the Reiki healing. I assume you've done some then. I've had it in
Yes.
advice. What's the word? Recommended before, but I've not actually
Oh my
done
god,
it.
yeah. It is. I can only explain from what I've had done. I've had it done a couple times, but I remember the first time I ever had it done. I think I was about 16. I went with my mum. She's all about that life too, and literally a dark room. You have your healer there, and they when you're lying down and everything, you're calm and everything. You imagine kind of an aura around you, and they can actually feel out which of your chakras are blocked and which of them are overactive and underactive. And it's basically chakra aligning. So my throat chakra was actually really blocked, and the healer actually helped it open back up. And my overactive one was my heart chakra. Like, he was able to make me more of a balanced person, help me ground, and also give you techniques in the future. And literally when you left, and it was the combination of being in a dark room going straight into, like, you know, the outside world, everything seemed brighter, everything, you seemed like weightless. It was actually phenomenal, and you could feel the difference within your chakras realigning and different things opening.
That sounds fascinating. I really need to try them.
It's transcendent. Find someone that doesn't rip you off, because some people charge crazy amounts for it. But if you get it,
I mean, what sort of price do you reckon you should be looking for then?
I don't even know. I've had it done for as little as like £40, and then one guy charged like 120. I didn't pay for it, so I heard afterwards, and I was like, "What?" Would not go back. But it just depends on. Try to meet the person beforehand to see if you like their vibe.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing with a lot of those things, isn't it? Like even just with therapists, you know, you got to make sure you actually get on with them first, and you're both on the same, you know, same level, same idea.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Being vulnerable with another person, right? Like truly, you know, therapy or Reiki wise, you have to open yourself up quite spiritually to someone.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying now you've put it in that words.
No, it's so good. Literally, imagine someone that could just, all they see is your energies, and they can go, I can see that you have problems, you know, standing up for yourself in terms of when you speak. Do you often bite your tongue and not speak to people? And you're not expected to speak back. It's just, you know, they can see your energies, but they'll be kind of talking you through it, particularly if it's your first time. And then when you hear it, it's almost a transcendent experience. You want to cry. You actually want to cry because you're like, oh my God. I can only compare it to what people would feel like in church. You know, when they have those, I don't know, Catherine, you might be able to kind of shed some more light on this kind of thing. You know, when they have those,
they feel like they've been touched by God.
yeah, they feel like they can feel the spirit in them, and they get so overwhelmed and they cry. It's kind of like that, you know?
Yeah, so I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, so I've been to like a church where they do encourage that, and you do have people come to the front and like kind of almost really kind of breaking down because they feel like they've been touched by this like higher being that's called on them to change their lives. So yeah, I do see the parallels there, and we're back to like the parallels between these different practices. Like so much of it is connected, and a lot of it is we're doing the thing without realizing that we're doing it. But yeah, it sounds like an incredible experience.
I mean, yeah, so I grew up Catholic, and I basically kind of just swapped out God for either the moon or the universe, depending on what I'm blaming or who I'm blaming on. And so someone mentioned before, like, oh, this is God's plan. For me, when something happens and it's, even if, whether it's ideal or not ideal, I always sit there and go, the universe is testing me for whatever reason, and it's going to make me a better person for it. Or a stronger person, and sometimes that's the only way I can get through some of the things that just mentally being able to get through some things. But like you say, all I've done is swap out one word for another word, and it's still an omnipotent being who is somehow in control.
I think the way humans spiritually humans spiritually, in my opinion, want to be spiritually nourished. They want to feel something, hence why everyone is so ready to believe something, you know. Granted, there are a lot of atheists and the world is technically becoming more secular, but even with the move away from organized religion, people are still seeking out other things. You get those people on their gap year traveling to India to find something higher than themselves. Everyone is looking to be spiritually nourished in some way, and when people find that, it's such an emotional, overwhelming experience. I don't know about you guys, because I know a lot of you guys do rituals and things, but sometimes when you're doing a ritual, when you're screaming at the moon, whatever, the emotions just like they flood sometimes, because like this is actually so powerful.
Oh yeah, there's just this feeling in your chest, and you're just, oh yeah, no, it is. It's completely insane, that feeling. I could not even begin to try and explain it to someone, where for some things just connect and things just make sense suddenly, or you just feel this rush of emotion, and it's probably something you've been holding in for a long time for whatever reason, and you're finally getting the opportunity. You finally get the opportunity to safely let it out and really feel those emotions.
If you bring it back to kind of the idea of like rituals and kind of everyone wants to be spiritually nourished, even people who are like hardcore atheists, you have your rituals. You get up in the morning, you make a cup of tea, you read paper, you have your rituals throughout your day because they make you feel better. That's how you organize your time. That's how you kind of take care of your mental health. So yeah, I think we all kind of do rituals. We just don't realize it.
I mean, a shower is just a cleansing ritual. You're literally cleansing.
I like
I
that.
mentioned any time that you hope, just hoping, it's appealing to some sort of higher power.
Especially as a lot of things, I just realized how deep this is getting, but there's a lot of things that happen that are out of our control, and it's not a nice feeling, and it's kind of nice to just sit there and go, well, I'm not in control, but something else is in control, and that something else has my best interests at heart, so it's all going to work out. It's the psychological thing that you need sometimes to get through things.
I think some of it's also the world is so messed up in so many ways, especially nowadays, that you just want to know that there is something more out there, that there is a reason for all this chaos and all this, I don't want to use the word evil, but all the bad things that happen in the world. There is a reason for it, even if you can't see what it is, because there's something else, like a god or a goddess or the moon, that has decided that this needs to happen for other good things to happen.
I would agree with that. It's kind of this, wanting to know that this isn't all for nothing, when in reality, I mean, I believe it's for nothing. And even in my faith, there are people that believe that there is a form of the afterlife and things like that. I personally, and that's the beauty of solitary practicing, you can just go, I know a lot of people believe there's an afterlife, but I personally have no idea. And I don't have any idea. I don't think there is. I think this is it. I would like to believe there is, but I can understand when that there gives people some kind of comfort and solace to know that, like, everything I'm doing right now is not just for nothing. Because otherwise, if you're just living in this nihilist kind of determinist mindset where it's what's the point, that can make you depressed real quick. That can make you
That sounds exhausting.
Just to be like, I'm killing myself for bloody capitalism, and nobody even likes me anyway, and then I'm gonna die, and it's gonna be worth nothing.
Are you trying to write a pop punk song?
I mean, what can I say? What can I say? I hate this town, guys. I hate this town.
Gotta get out.
Not to make a pop punk record.
Oh, yes.
When you get into that mindset, though, it proper takes you out of the perspective of what's important. So I think people worry so much about what's happening after you die that people forget to sort of live while we're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, if you're so consumed that, like, oh, what's going to happen after I die? What's going to go on? No, it's all for nothing. What's the point? Like, you're not going to, be nice to the person that's sat next to you, because what's the point? But, like, the point is to be nice.
Well, yeah, the point is that even if this is it, we should make it the best that we can do, and that includes being nice to each other, because then it makes it a much more pleasant place to live. Because if this is all I have, I don't want everything I've done to be a bad experience for me, let alone someone else. Because if that's all they have as well, why am I being rude to them or talking to them like they're a moron, when actually they may be just having a bad day and they just need some kindness and they just need you to take a breath and be nice to them.
Morals made of stardust.
I lied earlier. I have one other deity, and that is Marie Kondo.
Oh my God.
But I've partly read her book, and I've watched the Netflix series, and like this whole thing about bringing joy, and I've realized that that's it. That's my motivation. It's to bring joy. I'm just sort of figuring out the sort of priorities and trying to bring myself joy before I start trying to bring everyone else joy. But I realized that, yeah, that's what I want to do. I kind of don't care how I do it. And, being sort of spiritually aware, I find really helps me bring joy to myself, and which then puts me in a position where I can bring joy to as many people as I can. And, when my friends have, they need some support or something, I feel like I can help bring them joy. I don't know the words, but I just love you guys, okay? I just want you all to be happy. Can you just be happy for me, please?
Shall we bake a cake with rainbows like we did in middle school?
We should. She doesn't even go here. But yeah, like, as you're saying, like, the important thing for me, and it was witchcraft and paganism that really sort of, I keep swapping those words. I know you're not meant to, but I'm going to. It's that who helped me. It's that what helped me open myself up spiritually to be able to really be able to bring joy and really understand what that means to me as well.
That actually kind of leads into the next question we left on our prompt, which was, what does being a witch means to you? So Crystal's kind of already said what it means to her, because it helps her bring joy and be spiritually connected with herself. But what does everybody else think it brings them being a witch, or at least being? Because for me, it's being within that culture. Because I wouldn't say necessarily I was a witch, but I do take things from that culture. Like, I like the protection runes and how it manifests good feelings and health and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, what does it mean to everyone else?
I see, to me, it's all about eating babies and praising Satan.
Yeah.
Sorry, one of us had to address it eventually.
What we're actually talking about here, Crystal is a code name for baby.
Yes.
Sorry about the devil stuff. I got my Wiccan ruins as I wanted, and one of them's the pentacle or the pentagram, and I'm surprised no one has mentioned the Satanist connection when they've seen my tattoo, because obviously I got it for the 5 elements: the spirit, air, earth, water, and fire. But obviously everybody else in the universe that isn't anywhere connected to Wiccan or paganism or anything goes, Church of Satan.
Well, you have
God, yeah,
blue
the amount
hair,
of
so
people.
I assume they probably think it's just like edgy,
Oh yeah, I'm just edgy. I'm so edgy.
Yeah, I think it's just edgy, man.
Yeah, no, I think things like the
It's edgy as a
pentagram.
bloody Satsuma.
I think things like the symbols, like the pentagram, and maybe even the 3 goddesses, are a lot more, I hate this word, mainstream now. Like, with the rise of the emo and the fact that goth culture seems to be in at the moment. They might not understand what it is,
ego.
but
Everyone's an ego now, which is like new emo.
Oh,
I'm actually so here for it.
emo is now.
I actually love it. I think everyone looks so cool. It's like I don't know. I feel like I agree. I think it's because it's everywhere now. People just will see it as a fashion statement, as opposed to like, oh, it has religious connotations.
Yeah, because when people ask me what my tattoos mean, so I have got the pentagram, the 3 goddesses, and then I always say it wrong, the Tribeca. It's the one that's on the Book of Shadows and Charms. That's not why I got it, but I always say the word really wrong. I'm dyslexic, okay?
I can't even remember how to pronounce it right now. So, Triceratops? No.
That's what we're going for now. That's what we're going with now. It's Triceratops.
Right. The Triceratops.
I should get a
Mini.
Triceratops on my bicep to go right next to my protection runes.
Absolutely should.
Wait, well, I'd love that.
But I
That would be
obviously
so on brand for you.
it would be because I
Wait,
got
but
them...
then you'd have your tries on your biceps.
I could always get it on my tricep and have my tries on my tricep. So yeah, I got like one that we cannot pronounce, and listeners, please put it in the comments so that we can try again. It's an unbroken, never-ending line, and it's meant to represent protection and unity and everlasting life. And then the triple goddesses actually has 3 meanings that all are to do with, like, some of it's fertility because the mother represents fertility, but it's all about that growth and new beginnings and birth and all of that kind of manifesting all the good things. So yeah, that's what I've taken from the Wiccan culture, which I just feel like all soft spiritually things.
I think for me, what it kind of, I'm actually very careful not to call myself a witch, myself a wicca or anything, just because I'm aware there's so much that I don't know, and I'm just trying to be respectful. Like I'm very aware that I'm dipping in and out, and I just want to be as respectful as I can be. Like, this is a religion, and this is like people's culture, so I think for me it kind of means. Is it narcissistic if I say that I'm my higher power?
No, I love that.
Yeah, go for it.
Like, it's just because
You were the goddess within yourself.
Yeah,
it's just that kind of thing. It's kind of like relying on yourself. I think being raised like Catholic, being raised in the church, you're kind of taught to go, oh, well, it's a part of a plan, it's part of a thing, just got to go with it. And I think what this has done for me has kind of made me go, well, actually, life is not happening to me. I am happening to life. I am happening to the world. The world is not happening to me. It's kind of taken a bit more ownership of yourself.
Yeah, I guess it's you taking more ownership of your actions. It goes back to the being nice so that everybody can have a nice day or whatever. You control your reactions to things, and how you react can change a situation for each individual person, and you are in control of that. Okay, yeah, the world that shit does happen out of your control, but you still can control yourself.
Yeah, like the universe is never going to bring me joy. I have to manifest my own joy.
Yeah.
I do like that.
I think you said that, Catherine, because my answer is like, the same as you, I sort of dip in and out. I wouldn't say that I'm devout to any kind of religion, but when it's a full moon and I remember, I love using, kind of reading the books and kind of using it as a good way to focus and meditate and kind of think about what I want to bring for the next month. But I do find it to be this deeply like feministic and empowering kind of thing that I do for me. That's really what it is, and what I do, so I can bring a bit of hope to my friends. And in the same way that Catholics go to church and they light a candle for each other, that's sort of my way of trying to pass things on to the people that I care about and I love. That's pretty much it.
I would say for me, it's sort of I what Catherine and Nikki said, like, kind of resonates with me as well, in the fact that you're kind of understanding your own power in this world, if you know what I mean, and the interconnectedness of it all is what really makes me feel like in awe of the world around me, that we're not just existing in this world is like, we're all connected to it. We are all, it's just like one big organ. I don't know how to explain it, doesn't make it sound gross, but we're literally all interconnected. No motion, no sensation goes without another reaction, and you can control your future the same way anyone else can. It just, the fact that everyone has their own individual power to be harnessed is fascinating, and I think it gives me a new appreciation for nature and the world around me.
Honestly, I keep saying my dream is to just be a swamp witch. I want a cabin, like a little swamp cabin with a swamp. I want crocodiles instead of swamp as well. Maybe not, actually. Maybe there's a nice one, because I also want to just fill it with cats. Anyway, I'd love to be that witch who you stumble on in the middle of the woods and you're like, I don't actually know whether I'm safe or not. You are really safe. But, there's just that, oh, is this fruit that she's offering me poisoned, or is it like a fey fruit? Am I now indebted to her for the rest of my life?
Share your fruit.
No, until you try.
I mean, if it's tricky fruit, I'm down for that.
There's a reason I'd never make a gingerbread house, because the reason why mine would still be under construction is I kept eating it.
Real talk, it's so good.
Yeah, it's either food or shelter.
Run out
Can't
of
be both.
gumdrops.
That's the reason not to do that.
Goths
It
attempt
is
to build a
because you-
gingerbread house, but then they eat it. Like, before any children get there, they've eaten it.
The Christmas vlog, I see you've already planned it.
Put butter in the gingerbread, you can't eat it without getting a
How
tummy ache. You
dare
can do so
you.
much damage.
My
True.
greatest weakness, dairy.
You're just making it sound more appealing.
This is
I know, it's so buttery and delicious. Honestly, I cheer on the children to come and eat it and
Find out.
Come on.
I
Go on,
make banging gingerbread around Christmas, so yeah, I'm on it.
You're banning a gingerbread.
No, I make banging gingerbread.
Yeah,
I was trying to be
gingerbread is
Oh,
hip.
right, I
good.
thought you were actually banning it, and I was about to, like, cut you out of the podcast.
I'm the editor, bitch. I cut you out.
It's just gonna be like 2 minutes of like.
Well, I'll start my own podcast with blackjack and hookers. In fact, you know what? Forget the podcast.
Oh, okay.
And gingerbread.
Full of
Ah,
butter.
after our beautiful diversion full of butter. How has being a witch helped you?
Most recently,
Yeah.
I used it on night shift to make a patient go to sleep and another one to stop snoring
Did
so
you pray
much.
to the moon or something?
Is witchcraft the
Which
name of
sounds-
a pillow, or...
I was gonna say it sounded like you killed both of them.
No, so in my job, without being too specific, part of what I have to do is I'm paid to watch people sleep for money.
I love it. Leave it there. Say nothing more.
So I'm watching this girl, and I'm hoping that she falls asleep soon. Like it's getting towards midnight, and I'm like, just please go to sleep. And I find myself like doodling a little pentagram on my leg. So as I do the circle, I do it clockwise. I repeat a name, and then as I do the little pentagram, I say, "My little wish, please have a restful sleep." And then we do another one, another circle round. I kind of repeat it 3 times, and kind of do a little blessed be and tap my thigh in my head, of course, as I'm watching this girl. Next thing I know, eyes closed, snoring. I'm like, holy shit, that can't have worked. That can't have worked. But it did. That's a bit weird. So then I go into another girl's room, and she starts doing this really creepy snore. Like, it sounded like, to the point where I called someone else into the room and was like, this doesn't sound healthy. Is she okay? And they were like, no, that's how she snores. She's fine. So I was like, well, it worked last time. I'll do it again. Do the same sort of business. I say her name, and I'm like, okay, I hope that you breathe more clearly. And the next thing you know, she stopped snoring. And obviously, you can argue from a scientific perspective, one girl went to bed because it was late at night, and the other girl readjusted and stopped snoring. But holy crap, it was very coincidental.
I love the confirmation bias. It's the best thing ever. I use it throughout my whole life.
Oh, no coincidences, Nikki.
I 100% agree that it is just
You
coincidence.
think so? I think there are no
However-
coincidences. I think it was intention.
I just think I have magical thighs, is what I'm
Guys
learning.
save lives. We name the podcast.
These thick thighs.
Nikki's whole
these things.
explanation, she has given the worst. It's like one of those worst ways of describing your job ever. I watch people sleep and get paid for it,
No, the best
Yeah.
description of her job is
and
thick
now
thighs
she
save
has
lives.
magical thighs.
Oh, I
They
think
save
the
lives.
best definition of my job is I work in mental health. I'm a professional wrestler. That's the worst one. Or I save people's lives. They hate me for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
They're all bad. All of my job descriptions are terrible.
Some people are like, describe your job the worst way possible. I stab people and get paid for it
Harvest their blood.
with
Yeah, the
needles.
government pays me to stab people.
Oh, how has being a witch helped anyone else? So that's how
Sorry.
it's helped Nikki recently.
I can't think of a specific. Nothing recently. I don't know. Because I have my practices that I do every day. Like I bring my crystals everywhere with me. I kind of do my rituals. I'll be doing one tonight. It just kind of, guys, it's a lifestyle at this point. So yeah, I really can't think of something that because I haven't really done any spells as of late, quite frankly, or any manifestations in particular, but it has kind of like how it's helped me is it's helped me become a lot more understanding to other people's kind of not just points of view but what they're going through, because I feel like, and that's what makes me want to share kind of crystals and share things that have helped me, because I can't think of a life without this now. I can't think of a life where I can't feel anxious and then do some crystal work and then feel better. It just makes me feel like I really want to share this, you know?
And I like that. I like that you feel that because it's helped you, it's something you can introduce other people to. Because, yeah, it may not work for them, but it may be something that in the end actually does help them feel better, feel more connected.
I guess for you, Louise, it's not so much that it improves your life, it is your life. It's such an intrinsic part of every day where it's kind of all like, how does eating, how does breathing, how does sleeping improve my life? Like, I just do it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just speaking on your
No,
behalf.
I agree. That's a good way of putting it. It's literally a part of my days now. And it's lit, guys. It's lit.
Slay.
Slitty titty.
Feel
Boy.
as much as a serious question. How do you think you'd feel going a whole day, without the crystals, without the crystal work? You feel anxious and you're basically you've got to rely on other methods. Do you think that would greatly impact your day?
Heck yeah. And that's troubling. Like, quite frankly, it's something I'm working towards, not weaning off per se, but I'm working on other methods that aren't external for my self-soothing, if you know what I mean. So it's like I used to rely on, hilariously enough, one of my pet rats. Every time I would feel anxious, Mulan would come out, my day would be automatically better. When she passed, I was like, oh my god, I have to do this on my own. So I kind of had to come up with new methods and things like that to kind of make myself feel better, which I think it's kind of, it's hard to give up what works, but I know there will come a day when I'm stressed and I do not have a crystal in sight and I'm going to have to do it on my own. That day has not come so far, fingers crossed, but I know what you mean, and I think it's something that I am using as... I fret to say the word crutch, but I can't think of a better word for it.
I'm going to argue with you a little bit there. How is it any different from somebody who has to take medication for anxiety or depression?
It's what works for
You
you.
wouldn't say to them, like, oh, you need to learn to do it without like this crutch or this thing. You found something that really works for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. So obviously you want to have your own journey, you want to do your own thing, but don't put the pressure on yourself to like, because I don't like the way you're saying it's a crutch. It's like, no, you found something that works for you.
It's a healthy coping
And it's a
technique.
good thing. Yeah.
I don't like that it's... I feel that, and I agree. I feel that because it's material, it is something that I might catch myself without, and then what happens?
Okay, fair enough.
Medication, you gotta take it every day. And it's always kind of, but if I could, best believe if I could swallow crystals, painful poos, but you'd be winning all the
I was
time.
going to say, some people do, but yeah.
I mean, I hate to slow you down. You can, you just shouldn't.
This is a health.
Because you can.
This is a health alert. Please do not swallow shards of rock, and or glass, or polished stone. Please don't do that.
So, anybody else want to say how witchcraft has helped them as a human being?
I'd like to go next if that's allowed, if that's okay.
No, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to
Oh,
speak.
okay. I'll sit back down.
I'm pulling your leg. Come on.
One of the ways being a witch has helped me. I've mentioned previously that I do a lot of tarot cards, and I mainly do a 3-card spread, which is past, present, future. I don't tend to always do the upside down cards, mainly because my book does not have the reversed meaning, so I kind of go, it'll be fine. But to be fair, what I do is when I'm shuffling the cards is I do say out loud my question, that I'm going to be drawing 3 cards, what those 3 cards are, past, present, future, and that I will not be reading any upside down cards. And since I started doing that, although I do get upside down cards because I'm not very good at shuffling, when I turn them the right way around, that means a lot more than if I were to take the reverse meaning. So they're definitely listening to me. And I try and do them just kind of generally. It might be my question is just, what should I reflect on? But especially when I'm going through something. So when I was worried about changing jobs, I pulled the cards, and it really helped me, like, it really helped me sort of reflect on why I wanted to change jobs and how I'm actually feeling at the time. I'm not very good at sort of reading that myself. And I find using the cards actually really helps me, reflect on the situation. And sometimes I'll sit there and go, oh, what shall I reflect on? But in my head, I have a question. And it's one of those things where, like, they say if you flip a coin, as soon as it's in the air, like to make a decision, if you flip a coin to make a decision, as soon as it's in the air, you know exactly what you want it to land as. And that's the decision you should actually make, regardless of how the coin lands. I find it's a similar sort of feeling with the tarot cards. So when I'm reading them, they're telling me exactly what I know they're going to say. And, someone else might read them differently, of course, but they basically just sort of confirm what sometimes I'm not exactly being truthful to myself about. Especially, it was a while back during a relationship breakdown. No matter what I asked the cards, if it was completely different, and even if I did like a massive spread or anything like that, it all came down to, bitch, just get out, go fucking find yourself. You need to just relax and take some time to yourself because, girl, you've been through some shit. And it was only when I actually listened to the cards and removed myself from the situation and found myself, I felt so much better, and I, to be fair, I refound a lot of my passion in witchcraft. But it was just the cards. I knew the cards was trying to say that, and I knew the cards wanted me to move on and to do what it is that I know I need to do. And sometimes it's just the push I need. Like, someone can sit there and tell me 1,000 times, just do it. But when you pull 3 random cards and they're all in favor of the thing that you need to do, it kind of feels a bit more like it feels more like you are I don't know, I guess it comes kind of back down to the universe with me. Like, you're kind of actually going the way the universe is trying to point you. And yeah, it kind of helps me know that when I'm ready to do things as well, I'm ready to stop lying to myself about whatever thing it is.
Well said. I guess it's like a variation on those ink blot tests. It's like, tell us what you see on the cards. Like, we'll open up another method of communication with yourself. I think that's quite similar kind of when I'm doing things like this. I'm kind of just trying to get back in touch with myself. It's like, you know what the actual truth is. You know what you need to do. You know what you want. Like, you tell yourself you want certain things. When it comes down to actually manifesting, what are you actually trying to bring towards you? Kind of, if your subconscious and your conscious aren't agreeing with each other, you're gonna sabotage yourself. You're gonna be clashing with what you say you want and what you actually end up doing. Yeah, no, real well said.
Thank you.
I think another method that is quite good, if you guys haven't explored that yet, because I know a lot of you guys love tarot as well, I would say pendulum dowsing. It's super, depending on how elaborate you do it, much like tarot, because you could do like a full thing or just pull a few cards. But pendulum dowsing, 10 out of 10, because you can get an answer ASAP. It's like the witch's magic 8-ball. It's excellent. I recommend. Have any of you guys tried it?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I used to do pendulum. That was actually my first foray into witchcraft was using a pendulum.
Yeah, it's most people's intro into like dowsing and stuff. It's so good. Yeah,
no, it really kind of, again, it was a lot of self-reflection, a lot of stopping lying to myself, and that I'd seen it on TV, like Charmed or Buffy or something like that, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that works in real life. And I sort of tried it with this intense sort of belief that this might actually work. And that's actually what led me into really exploring witchcraft. And, you know, I mean, the internet was still not as copious as it is now with information. So I did what I could. But yeah, it sort of really opened my eyes, that.
And also, like you said, you have to kind of trust in the process in terms of like you're pulling these cards, you're seeing this result on your pendulum or on your crystal ball, you're seeing these results from your subconscious and from the universe. Whether you choose to listen to it or not and trust in the process is on you. But if you just go with it, you notice the results are so much more fruitful.
Any other notes on witchcraft?
Super cool. And if anyone is listening wants to try and get some more information and start up their own practice, there are plenty of places to start. I started at Google and at Waterstone and with asking other people. I'd say if you're concerned or thinking it's a big step or you're worried about it, come join us. The water's fine.
Slide into our DMs.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can probably contact us on our socials. If it is someone like me who is probably just as clueless as you about Wiccan or witchcraft, I can let the other girls know there are questions and make them answer them, because I don't want to give you the wrong information.
I do want to give you the wrong information, but I also worship chaos, so...
I will be asking Louise for you lovely human beings.
Don't ask
not
me, I'm
Crystal.
starting a witch MLM. I'm getting you guys in a pyramid scheme. Don't ask me.
Yeah.
No witch
Gonna
robot.
start
Let's go,
selling
guys.
crystals on Etsy.
Okay, Google everyone.
I knew those essential oils were so good.
The spiritual cut of everything you guys manifest.
Beautiful.
So you're hoarding good vibes.
Correct.
Yes, these are my good vibes. They're not for you, they're for me.
But seriously, people, if you want more information, it is out there. Just being a bit spiritual is always helpful, and it's just, yeah, good to be nice and manifest some good vibes for yours, your own, and the universe.
Absolutely.
Be curious. Be curious
Always
and get
be
involved.
curious.
Mm.
Just be careful. Curiosity killed the cat, you know.
Satisfaction brought it back.
Brought it back.
Jinx.
Hey.
Nikki,
I'll buy your
that
code later. I thought, but I don't think we probably mentioned it enough. Wicca and witchcraft and all of the fun and wonderful stuff, it's open to all genders,
Oh, yeah.
all gender expressions. We've been talking about it as largely like a women's sort of vibe, but it's open for everyone. It's a wonderful thing.
In fact, actually, that's, again, one of the things that drew me to witchcraft is how loving and open. It's like, no, we don't care. As long as you are, you know, not putting out bad vibes into the universe, you know, safe, sane, and consensual, fucking yes, come in. Come in.
That was my last serious point. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast.
And you can follow us on Instagram at Goths Do A Thing
And on our Twitter at Goths Do A Thing.
and YouTube's Goths Do A Thing.
Okay, that was our podcast on Witchcraft 101. What did you think about our opinions on all things witchy and paganistic? Did you agree with us, or do you have any alternate views? Please do let us know on our socials at Goths Do A Thing or down in the comments. We really hope that you enjoyed it. We put a lot of work into it this week. We look forward to seeing you next time in our new season at the end of November. We will talk all about feminism.